5 respective from his damage share. He didn't just kill steal.
Yeah.
He actually put in the work.
We are going to have a look at some highlights here as well. And I mean, I believe he went down at the end of this fight.
To a Viktor pulsation.
Yeah.
If memory serves, because it's the kind of thing that you don't often expect to take. And that was, given the level of the game, 450 damage, not including AP, every tick. As you all see it here, look at this. He died to it, exclusively the Chaos Storm. Unlucky.
The consistently low health bars that everyone in that team fight had, though, just based on the fact that there is like an Infinity Edge ricochet like flying across the whole team. I mean, Sivir just does a whole bunch of work towards the late stage of the game, so
yeah.
Does seem to be a key pick in this series, and we'll see exactly who's going to be able to grab it in game number 2. Of course, red side getting 2 of those priority picks instead of the 1 looks to be pretty important as we move into game number 3. It might actually favor WE just a little bit here.
And that's an interesting point that you bring up as well, Sivir being a priority throughout this drafting phase. The way I see it as well, Sivir and Twitch both being selected in game number 2 is the ideology of what both of these teams are trying to accomplish through their AD carry, and is that you hit the back line when hitting the front line. Sivir, you press your auto attack, you press your W, you got the ricochet, it bounces to the back line and takes them out whilst you're hitting the tank. Twitch, very similar principle in that respect, and I think the major difference between them was how Lupa actually played the game on the Maokai, and that was standing behind the Twitch to make him not hit the backline with his ultimate and just hit Lupa. But what they wanted to do, what Mystic wanted to get done on the Twitch, was make sure that you're hitting the AD carry or hitting the mid laner whilst you're simultaneously hitting the tank and trying to take him out. Reflected through the item build to no avail this time, though.
Yeah. However, I mean, despite the fact that RNG were able to take out that game, there were still glimmers of hope on the side of WE. Of course, Condi's still looking good on the Rex side. Xiye actually having a great performance on the Viktor, despite xiaohu getting ahead towards the early stages of the game, grabbing that early double buff and really owning that lane. The Viktor was still doing a hell of a lot of damage when that late game rolled around. And if we're going to compare Viktor play between game 1 and 2, of course, xiaohu picking it up in game number 1, xiye actually looked a whole lot better.
Yeah, I have to agree with you as well. The Viktor definitely looks strong from him. And I think whilst we're looking at the drafting as well, the priorities were definitely there. RNG wanting to take it away from World Elite. Now realizing that they can work around it because the Swain wasn't banned. We still saw how strong his Viktor can be, but we just know that the Swain is ultimately stronger. Probably shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
I think we should take that one off the board.
Yeah, we'll see whether, once again, on the red side of the Rift, that Swain is going to be banned away as WE have a little bit more flexibility with what they can take off the board. And I just want to see xiaohu go back to an Azir pickup, something like that. This is shown to be a champion that he's happy to sort of blind pick moving in. The Bard, once again, going to be banned as we enter Champion Select. And Swain is once again going to be taken off as well. Picked and banned champions, you can see 100% pick and ban rate for those top 7 champions. It makes a heck of a lot of sense there as well, but Rek'Sai, 100% pick and ban.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the unexpected standouts of that.
Yeah.
All things considered, I even predicted the Viktor to be 100% pick or ban, so not a surprise given how strong the champion is. We saw how much in a losing game that xiye could get done. That ban from RNG is interesting, though.
That's the adaptation there, of course. So getting rid of the Sivir. We'll see whether this is so that Uzi can hop onto Lucian, potentially. Trying to get WE
It means
to change
Elite have
things
to
out.
ban it.
Yeah, of course, not going towards that Maokai first pick there as well. Looper is going to change things up. And you're exactly right. So Lucian is going to be banned away. And RNG, what are they going to first pick away here? Of course, Ekko is available if they want to prioritize the top lane. And Nidalee is up. Kindred is up as well. There are so many strong junglers now. And Kindred is going to be the priority there for Mlxg. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I think Kindred's one of the top tier junglers as well, moving into patch 6.10 and beyond. Jungle control, very important.
Yep.
The damage that you do to epic monsters, most importantly, as well as a standout feature that Kindred provides. You've got early pressure. It may not be kill threat, but your level 3 ganks are ridiculous because you've got so many dashes.
Yep.
You will at least force the summoner spell and alter play styles and play patterns. Kindred's just all around ridiculous in a very good way.
Yeah. Well, there's sort of no pressure on WE to pick up jungler here now as well. So Nidalee is, of course, already on the board.
I think it depends on information they want to disclose. You can still go back to the Rek'Sai if you wanted to, so that you're not showing your hand, or you could deny options from RNG.
Yeah, Ekko is going to be picked up, and Caitlyn right there for Mystic. So lots of different AD carries have been on show here. We've seen back-to-back Sivers, but other than that, you know, Twitch, Ezreal coming into play. And I think Twitch is something that Uzi probably wants to look at here. With Lambs of Spite available, you can just chuck that down, Twitch, and just go to town on everyone that is in range of that spray and pray rat-a-tat-tat.
Yeah. I feel like it's something they might look at, though I would imagine they'll save that for their last rotation for the AD carry-on, unless they go for like a safe Ezreal. Now, the thing I'm looking at, however, the inclination towards Maokai that was present for Lupa may want to change this time around simply because the Ekko's already been locked in.
Precisely, and Trundle, of course, has been permabanned this whole series as well. Now going to be taken away. Mlxg grabs that for potentially Lupa, or of course Marta in a pinch if they want to do that.
Yeah, and for those who watched that small tournament that recently took place in Shanghai, they would have notably seen that Lupa playing Trundle is good enough to beat SKT. So probably don't give him that, and you'll be fine. But well, he has it, maybe.
He does potentially have it. I do like this pick away from Zero. The Karma in Marta's hands was phenomenal. And to round out their picks, they could go with the Twitch Karma bottom lane, which we saw put to great effect by Game Talents yesterday in their win over Snake, and of course by Snake in their Game 1 victory against Game Talents as well. So, currently being hovered, 10 seconds to go. Xiye, of course, a fantastic Karma player as well, was able to take out Vici Gaming with back-to-back Karma games. Nidalee's going to be picked up from Condi, though, and that is going to be the Karma. So a lot of flexibility still here on this WE roster.
Yeah, absolutely is. Of course, Nidalee being locked in by Condi, no longer going to be the Rek'Sai. Isn't even banned away from him.
Yeah.
And I think we'll finally see our first not 100% for Rek'Sai and pick or ban.
Yeah.
But Condi actually opting towards more of the damage approach, going for the Nidalee. It's a heavy farm against that of Mlxg, perhaps to keep him down.
No.
Early clears. We all know Uzi just wants to play Ezreal.
I know.
Whatever Marta tells him, though, you would imagine is law.
Well, it is going to be locked in. And the Thresh there from Marta at the same time. So Marta's Thresh has always been unbelievably good. Uzi having some grins here as he looks over to his teammates. But xiye now considering heading towards a Kassadin pickup, meaning that Zero will be playing the Karma. And 957 will definitely be playing the Ekko. Of course, there's still a lot of flexibility here in this comp. And that's been locked in. So Kassadin into Viktor. We saw this be quite successful yesterday. Dade, of course, starting that one off against Scout in the mid lane in game number 2. Newbee versus EDG.
Kassadin surprisingly good in the LPL for no particular reason into Viktor, whereas the LCK Viktor picked into Kassadin because for no particular reason, surprisingly good in the opposite matchup.
Depends on your nationality.
Apparently, but...
But there's a lot of Korean players currently in China as well, so I don't know whether that makes sense.
I think it's a 50-50 win rate for Kassadin and Viktor looking at LPL games from last split. It was at least very close to that, and that was with a lot of games played. So xiye picking the Kassadin knowingly into the Viktor is no slouch into the matchup and should be a big threat moving into this third game.
Yeah, they do have ranged wave clear, of course, out of the Karma as well as the Caitlyn to try and offset that lack of wave clear that Kassadin does have. Safe wave clear, that is. Of course, Force Pulse can work out. We'll see exactly how this one is going to go. Lupa back on the Trundle. Terrifying pick. The Kindred there for Mlxg. So many power picks for this team. We'll see whether xiaohu can step it back up now on this Viktor. But let's do it. The deciding game between RNG and WE.
All of us. We come and we go. All of us.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen, where all of us, we come and we go. All of us, Rusty.
Man, that dubstep is so intense, and then it goes to absolute silence when we get onto the Rift. Like, it builds you up for this, like, sick moment, and everyone just walks out of the
now
score.
We've all got anticipation for this deciding game between RNG and WE. RNG, once again, on the blue side of the map.
All of us.
On the blue side of the map. As Uzi takes a bunch of damage. This is a terrifyingly annoying lane. We saw Deft and Mako just do disgusting things against Newbee's bottom lane yesterday as the Karma Caitlyn. We'll see whether the Ezreal and the Thresh can navigate it or whether they are not going to. And it's going to head back to base and try and lane swap, something like that.
Like between bottom laners is such an interesting dynamic as well, right? So game number 1, we saw Thunderlords out of all of them.
Yeah.
Like basically like both supports running it. It was a Bard Alistar. This time around it's Karma and Thresh. They both have Thunderlords.
Yep.
So they're picking their battles and like they're timing it to what you would assume is want standard lanes so they do more damage. Or it's that they want a lane swap so that they can then have their supports roam and do more damage elsewhere. But they seem to coincide with their thoughts and theories behind how they're going to play this game. And they always have Thunderlords at the same time.
Yeah, quite interesting. Of course, last game we did see the Windspeaker's blessing out of Martha's Karma. Does work very, very well, especially if you mantra that shield.
Yeah, which is like exactly the point as well. They're changing their keystones to suit each other almost. Like they want to do more damage. It's like they have a mutual agreement in chat before the game starts. Do more damage this time.
Yeah, get it.
Let's have more fun.
Well, level 2 is going to be gained relatively quickly here. There it is. So Uzi already up. Mystic as well. Oh, dodges out of the way of a Mystic shot. If anyone can play against Ezreal, it is this guy. And the trap's already down. God, it's annoying.
And Ezreal doesn't have too great of a time against the Caitlyn. But with his Mystic shot, he can still last hit at the very least. So he'll have an okay time.
Yeah.
Health bars aside.
Headshot going to come in from Mystic. Just trying to be as frustrating as possible. But Uzi will just farm. Do the best that he can. Bit of a crowd shot here.
I know that's meant to be someone.
Yeah.
I know it. I just can't.
Just left. I didn't know. Didn't know. Mlxg is going to be able to take his red buff, as you can see.
That is early to be top.
Yeah, slipping into this brush. The push already on here for 957, who's very, very healthy, but Looper as well. I mean, both of these guys just been farming things out.
I just don't think he'll achieve anything from this unless 957 is the god of baits.
At the moment, though, I mean, of course, Ekko, pretty damn good. As far as pushing up the top lane, it's not like Looper's going to immediately turn something around and get kill threat or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, to draw parallels, Mlxg is still farming. He's going to get a mark for free and now move towards the blue buff.
Yeah.
If he has another ward on him, he'll probably spot Condi.
Doesn't have Smite quite available just yet.
They
He throws
both
down
will.
some vision. Oh, yes, he does actually have it right now, so...
But Condi's doing wolves,
Yeah, wolves.
so it's actually just gone.
3 buff. Really nicely played from Mlxg. Bit telegraphed, though, of course, from RNG, because, of course, the mark was there. He knew that he was most likely going to be on that side of the map at that point.
Yeah.
Just Condi sort of making sure that 957 is going to have a decent time, although that wave is already pushed up. There's not all that many real reasons behind his jungle pathing for that early stage.
Yeah, he just wanted to... So the way I see it is he did a full clear to top side, and that's fine, but he also opted into walking into the bush to try and look for a cheeky gank beforehand. So the same thing that he's doing right now is he walked into the lane to recall just in case they're fighting, which is actually a lot of time wasted if you add it up. Like the 10 seconds he spent top side, the 5 seconds he just spent walking into the bottom lane was essentially the difference between him having blue buff and not having it at all.
Yep. Well, xiye did teleport his way back into the mid lane. Does have a Ruby Crystal now as well, obviously building towards that Catalyst. Wants to make sure he's as safe as possible getting towards level 6. xiaohu, however, going through his mana bar quite effectively. As another Rift Scuttler goes down for Mlxg, just checking up on Condi.
Yeah, he was actually looking for the mark respectively as well at the Raptors that has already been taken. So Mlxg actually has complete tabs on where the Nidalee is going to be at all times.
That was an incredibly nice dodge there out of Uzi to avoid the mantraed Q. But WE, this is what this bottom lane wants to do. Get underneath the turret and destroy creeps and destroy the turret at the same time.
Yeah, Uzi will be last hitting quite well though, considering
Really well, yeah.
Ezreal's actually quite good at last hitting under the turret anyway as a champion design.
Yep, Marta. Betting out Zero's attention for a moment.
The way Mystic plays as well is actually very clever. He knows that when he has an advantage because the supports are seeing each other, that he can then afford to bully Mystic.
Yeah.
And working it quite well. This is still the problem point for World Elite and RNG.
Oh, Spear is actually going to land here. Nice exhaust to stop that takedown damage. The xiaohu uses both of his summoner spells, now heads back to base. This bodes well for xiye.
Yeah. Actually very well for xiye. Of course, he's already got his recall in with the teleport, so he'll be feeling quite strong as this is a lot of damage.
Yeah, big level advantage here as well as Lupa still has the ultimate. There's the flash flares. Mlxg's going to make his way in.
Nice hook.
Yeah, Zero, he's possibly going to fall down here. That's going to be first blood going to Mlxg. Exactly a guy that wants a Wolf Bite as well.
Here.
Lots of damage as Condi looking for a spear. Mlxg is so incredibly low.
Wow,
the flash
Condi.
comes in. Oh my god, the heal from Uzi. Condi's going to fall. Uzi grabs it. Mystic might be in trouble. The onslaught continues. Double kill. And RNG get 3 on the board.
Marta and Uzi just put on a clinic there. That was really coy from Condi, the way that he executed on that pounce. Was looking for Mlxg, but he just didn't have enough damage. The execute wasn't there. There was no redeemable feature of that engage. He needed the spear to connect and overcommits. But RNG make him pay for it. And finally, it backfires and results in a big, big lead in this bottom lane for RNG. That is a full mana immune.
Yeah.
At 7 minutes.
Oh my god, that is terrifying. I just want to say that the finesse from Uzi in that last fight was stunning. Waiting for the pounce to use the heal. Everyone was so low, but then waits for that opportune moment. Mlxg, I believe, also had his passive available as well. So went from like basically being dead to being absolutely fine, able to turn that one around.
Well, on the winning end of that fight, like RNG played mechanically brilliant, and something I didn't even realize was possible with the way Condi played that was the like animation cancel of his flash and pounce almost.
Yeah.
Like as he got like the full range pounce, he flashed and did all of the damage to Mlxg. So credit where it's due as well.
Really cute
He
play.
tried hard, but he didn't succeed.
Yep. In the end, it's 3 kills to 0. There's Uzi continuing to stack up this Manamune, but 8 minutes into the game, the fact that he has that item is just like it's just got rid of all of the problems that Ezreal just generally has, right? In the
Ezreal
early
and
stage of the
Caitlyn
game.
lane, huh?
It's just done.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just skip having a like tier ever. Don't even need to worry. Still stacking it up.
It means unreasonably quick it will be stacked as well. He did forego the Sheen to finish the mana immune, but it's definitely still worth it. Caitlyn being an auto attack heavy champion wants to weave spells, but Ezreal will always match that damage. Just means that Uzi's going to be a lot more auto attack focused himself.
Yeah. Well, Condi looking to try and take down this Rift Scuttler. Also marked, but xiaohu's going to make his way over. Just saying, yeah, no, this is my jungler's Rift Scuttler, you jerk. Hits the spear, takes it away. Condi says, well, you called me a jerk. Don't say that. Actually didn't. That was all
I
me.
don't think he said
Yeah,
it.
xiaohu is going to move over a ward, though, back towards xiye, who has a level advantage in the mid lane. Kassadin doing work.
Yeah, and the way that this lane always works as well is once Kassadin gets that level 6, he exploits the fact that xiaohu doesn't have a lot of sustain. The Catalyst will actually help xiye out a lot with that, as well as being able to get on top of the Viktor.
Yeah.
The major conflicting difference was usually the flash and exhaust that a Viktor will have in his back pocket. Not currently available, at least one of them.
Yeah, still about a quarter of that cooldown on flash to go. As Dragon's just going to be taken here from Mlxg. Doesn't quite have the Blood Razor just yet, but still able to do a lot of work.
Yeah, so they don't actually need it in regards to doing a dragon by himself. Depending on the dragon, you would imagine.
Yeah, that's very true.
The fire, at least the Infernal Drake in particular, can be taken at level 7 with just the recurve bow in his jungle item. I've seen that on more than one occasion.
Yeah, Lupa actually looking for a bit of strength here towards the top side of the map. Of course, you can see Condi making his way in. We'll see whether anything's going to come from this. As Subjugate doing so much work, and Lupa says, yeah, come here, kitty lady, I'm going to kill you too.
I feel like this is a trend that we were going to note since Champion Select. Giving Lupa Trundle is put it like in the mistake column.
Yep.
I made a big mistake.
That's an oopsie.
That's a big oopsie.
Yep.
That's a mark as well.
Yeah, Teleport's actually going to come in here as Mlxg does take away his mark. xiye back into the mid lane here. Of course, Lamb's Respite is available. Spear not going to connect, and Mlxg making sure he's...
Oh, wow.
That burst damage was huge from xiye, and Mlxg wasn't ready.
Yeah, so xiye's actually got 4 levels at that time into his Force Pulse, which I think is what took him by surprise. Most Kassadins against the Viktor matchup, you would see more than 1 level into the Q to survive all of the magic damage and have positive trades in that situation. But this time around, it actually backfires onto Mlxg. xiaohu not even controlling the lane, considering the skill order as well. Xiye having a great time.
Yeah, xiaohu's just like, damn it, man.
Not again.
Yeah. And xiye, he's been sort of the consistently good member of WE in every single game so far. The Azir, phenomenal game number 1. And of course, had a great performance on the Viktor despite the loss in game number 2. Is now xiaohu in trouble. xiye throws out a Q, but we're not going to find the spear here from Condi. His death ray does.
Yeah, just more pressure from Condi. Something you'll note from this jungler as well for World Elite is just how quick he's clearing the jungle camps. So
yeah.
Every time we look at him, you'd think it's time wasted, sitting in a bush, sitting in a side lane, maybe looking for a gank somewhere, but it works out fine because he's still ahead in farm by 13 to that of the Kindred, who every time we've looked at him has, generally speaking, been farming.
Precisely. Well, xiaohu looking to head back, wants to heal himself up just a little bit. About a creep wave behind xiye here. Uzi just clearing out wards, clearing out minions. Just reveling in his advantage in this lane after that first skirmish.
Lots of clearing.
Yeah.
Having a great time. And Caitlyn's always going to be fine in laning phase. The question will be arisen of past this stage, how will Caitlyn do in the mid game?
Well, Condi actually running pretty quickly.
Got him.
Oh.
First one, I think.
Lupa doesn't really care all that much, though, as Mata, he's relatively low. There's a true shot barrage. Mystic in trouble, but does blow the heal. Is going to be okay. Shield picked up as Condi. Wolf's Bite is there. Mlxg picks it up. And this bottom lane, it's fighting as well. Oh, my God. Uzi able to pick one up. Picks up the double in the 2v2.
Wow, Uzi goes off. RNG across the board, except for that middle lane, essentially just destroy World Elite. Condi dies. The bottom lane dies. Uzi 4-0-1.
Yeah, Mlxg as well is about to kill 957. That death sentence was so close.
But this is just so much damage from the AD carry. It was an early heal popped as well by Mystic, and overstaying their welcome, I will say Mata, actually in an active attempt to block it.
Also an active attempt to die because he knew that Uzi would be able to pick up the double.
E-flash to get the auto attack off. Like, that was so well done from Uzi.
Oh, does that mean that he also gets the arcane shift damage as well?
So I don't think it did.
Okay.
And it shouldn't. The auto attack is still what secured it.
Well, still very cute, regardless. Now WE looking to try and take away red buff. Of course, the other one was stolen by Mlxg as Mata. It's right in here, had vision.
They don't miss a beat with aggression, though, World Elite, when it comes to jungle camps.
Yeah.
You have to remember, they just lost the team fight top lane and bottom lane. They're 3k gold behind, and there is vision everywhere that Condi is. But he knows that he's safe to do it. Mlxg's are fighting for the greater good.
Yeah.
As it were.
Taking down this Rift Herald as well, and this game is one where they really do want to take this one because Lupa, Tiamat already built up. It will be massive in that split push. xiye looking to try and get a gank towards his bottom side. They have to try and keep Uzi down. The ultimate comes in. Uzi trying to get something back. Spear is going to miss. What can he do underneath this turret? He'll die. That's exactly what he'll do.
xiye might die.
Yeah. Oh.
Close, but well done from World Elite. They get something back on the board for their team.
However, a lot of damage towards the mid lane. xiaohu easily able to get back up in farm at the same time. Couple of Hex Core points built up.
Checking out Condi's heat map.
I believe that's Mlxg's, yeah.
The Kindred.
And
that's the other one.
Yeah, so that's going to be Condi. Not spending too much time in the enemy jungle.
If we look at the time he's actually spent in side lanes, so there's actually red dots there to indicate that that's a lot of time.
Pretty hot.
Yeah. Hot damn.
Yeah. Well, the rest of WE looking for Lupa here. Does have the subjugate that he can throw down to try and make himself a little bit tankier. But he'll just wander casually out of the way.
Yeah, walks it out.
Yep,
Team WE showing some proactivity, though. Level 11 on the Kassadin could be the other big thing.
Yeah, they were looking for the death sentence there as Condi is going to lend him a hand. Primal Surge going to be helping him stay healthy in that mid lane as well.
Also noteworthy that he put levels into his W over the Qs when he had the choice.
Interesting.
So maxed his Force Pulse, then put it into the W. Auto attack reset.
So not really too worried about giving himself more of that magic damage shield.
No.
Especially when you're up against a Kindred, Ezreal, and Trundle.
And like realistically, you'd say damage in general as well, right?
Yeah.
But it means he wants to be auto attack.
And the W does do a lot of damage. And gives you a lot of mana sustain.
It does.
Pretty repugnant. There's RNG organically taking the bottom lane turret. 957, possibly in trouble here. True Shot Barrage flies through. He'll have to use the ult. Might be able to get back onto his... Nah, it doesn't. Thought he might be able to get back to his parallel convergence for a stun for some sick plays, but decides not to go 1v2. Makes a bit of sense. Top lane outer turret does fall as Uzi still tagging 957. Mlxg looking to try and get the dive on here underneath the turret. Yep, there's the chrono break, but has he used it at the right time? Nice stun comes in as WE are able to take down the Trundle at the same time. Lupa just a little bit overly aggressively positioned. They might need to go back to base now, potentially try and defend.
Oh, they're fighting in mid lane. xiaohu should not be doing this.
Yeah, dangerous.
Oh, what? Sorry, the ultimate's actually out.
Yeah, there's the flash in. The exhaust was there from xiaohu. Can he actually make this one work? As there's the teleport. Going to be cancelled. Not sure whether that was the right move. As now WE are going to make their way towards the mid lane. Inner turret falls. They grab the adder in the mid as well. So WE, just better map movements.
Yeah.
They're ahead by 500 gold.
That's exactly what that was. Movement around the map. They actually... So the thing is, Ekko is actually very hard not only to dive, but to push against. Because he throws out the Q. It's always going to remain, and two of them will clear a minion wave. It's exactly what happened, and it's what slowed down RNG's push on the bottom side of the map. And Mlxg also wasting a lot of time trying to kill him that he just walks out of. And even has a teleport threat in the middle lane. And for reference, xiaohu's ultimate was actually there in that fight that he was having with xiye, but it was just invisible.
Oh.
So if you couldn't see it, it was there.
I certainly couldn't see it.
And that's why the fight was a lot closer. And xiye still has a lot of burst zone. You would almost say outscaling the Viktor. It is an inevitable thing. Team WE are looking quite strong.
Does depend how they utilize both of these champions, but you're right, it feels like Kassadin, once you get into a late game stage, there's not a lot that you can't do.
So the way I see this is they will put xiye into a side lane, and WE will try and have that 1-3-1 with Caitlyn mid.
Yeah.
Once they've got 5 levels into the traps, they'll just kind of sit back and let it happen in mid lane whilst they work around top and bottom respectively. Or 957 to match up with Lupa.
True Shot Barrage takes half the health off Mystic. Thankfully, now with the new and improved red buff, 9% of his health, missing health, sorry, back.
It's only 6.
6%.
Because he's level 10. Once he hits level 11, it will be 9%. But it's still a lot, as you can see.
Yeah, he's just really not too worried about missing some health.
More than an Ocean Drake. Level 1.
It's just a bit silly. New red buff?
Well, I mean, blue buff gives 15% ability power.
That's a good point. Both of those buffs. Very, very strong.
Worth fighting for.
They have grouped up. Now moving towards the mid lane. No dragon, of course, available.
Nice
and there's the hook on a 957. Pillar comes down. Lupa trying to lock him up for even longer, but not going to be able to find too much. Mystic waiting here in the brush. Raptors have been taken. Ward there as well from RNG as they're trying to siege things up. And Uzi will grab himself the red.
Yeah, and whilst we were talking about the potential 1-3-1 out of Team W, we also have to look at the converse being that Uzi is actually just 4-1.
Yeah.
They have an Ocean Drake on him as well, so the sustain that the Ezreal has got is unreasonable.
Just a little bit silly. We'll see exactly what is going to happen. It has been sort of like, it has slowed down the game. No pun intended based on what just happened there. As Lupa going to clear out this bottom side of the map. But yeah, where does RNG go next? Where does WE go next? What is the next plan of attack for both of these sides? Because I feel like both of them really want to be split pushing eventually.
Yeah, I think that RNG will be split pushing through one lane, so the 4-1 is definitely a possibility for them. World Elite, Team WE rather, looking for the 1-3-1. I think that's the major conflicting difference, but for the most part, and from what we've seen of both of these teams, it's just dragons.
Yeah.
They love the Drakes. Not the Canadian one.
Something about a cell phone. The blue buff has been tagged here from Uzi.
Something Yamato cannon.
Lots of pings towards the bottom side of the map there as well, out of RNG. Mystic just waiting Clearing things out in the mid lane. Both AD carries, in fact, doing exactly that.
I still think there's a very big concern for this Ezreal. Like, Uzi is just so massive.
Do they need to act on it, though? Because, I mean, Mystic, he's got 2 items now as well. 3 items, generally the sweet spot for Caitlyn. Do they need to make something happen here in the mid game while Mystic isn't as strong and, of course, safely strong with that massive range?
So I think the saving grace is mostly that it's going for a more of Malmortius on Uzi. He hasn't even finished his boots yet.
Nice.
Yeah, Mlxg, well done. He's now skating. He's ice skating.
Whee! Damn it. Why would you auto attack?
It was the best.
So sad.
It was the best. No, what I think, and why I say that Uzi could be a problem, is that if these two are 1v1ing, Uzi can still beat Mystic.
Oh, yeah.
As long as there's a minion wave, Uzi has control. This is the opposite to that, however. xiye starting to outscale xiaohu if they stay in a side lane.
Yeah, Riftwalk is going to be used. Mata booking it towards xiye right now. Teleport's coming in. Both sides as well. There's now Uzi over the side. Cloud Drake has been let us know as there's the Chaos Storm. 957 taking a lot of damage now. Does have the ultimate, but xiye, that exhaust nowhere near enough as Mata's just going to get obliterated. But the rest of RNG, they have made their way over. Uzi has the help of his jungler. Chrono Shift is going to come in as Mlxg just getting rid of Zero.
This is delicate, though. Uzi's still big.
He is still big, but he has to kill 4 people now with a man disadvantage. Mlxg does have his ultimate now, as xiye has to stand on top, but he's going to fall down. Mlxg picks that one up as xiaohu in a whole host of trouble. Uzi, can he clear this one up? That's the first one. That's the second. Triple kill comes in for Uzi. As now Condi clears out some vision and says, okay, Uzi, I'm going to leave.
So, Uzi comes up massive for RNG. He is the Fed member of the RNG roster, and he does exactly what is required of him, and that is get the triple kill. Very well played from the Ezreal, but Team W, I keep saying it, are still doing well. They're still fighting well and executing effectively to at least have trades in situations where you would almost question it. So this teleport, I expected to be cancelled, but Condi was already here. Uzi's late to the fight, so that's the almost saving grace of WE. And xiye does too much damage. It's actually quite silly, considering he was exhausted. This is where the cavalry's here. Uzi hitting the right targets the entire time.
xiaohu as well was completely out of mana that whole fight.
Yeah, and summoner spells used to actually get towards xiaohu and Lupa. So Uzi's just able to kind of get free reign, stack up his passive most importantly as well. This is where it all starts to really unfold. WE probably could have afforded to maybe all commit to the Lamb's Respite and actually stand in it to do damage to Uzi. That's my maybe one complaint on it.
Yeah.
But mechanically, Uzi just comes up big.
Super big. That is 7-1 and 2 now for this Ezreal. As Parallel Convergence flies through, WE thinking about setting up for this dragon by the looks as the pillar flies through. Mlxg just wants to steal away jungle camps, as he generally does.
There's so much vision set up around the dragon as well. There's lacking amounts on the top side of the map, and RNG could very easily look towards the Baron. That's why I'm a bit confused that they've gone for the Hex Drinker onto Uzi, and that he's actually finished it into a Maw.
He just likes fighting consistently as well, so actually does use the passive quite well. As 957 gets on top of Uzi. Nice. Lantern is going to get him to safety here as Lupa. Not going to have the same ability to get out of this one. He's so low. Zero grabs the kill in the end. Mlxg right in amongst it. Mystic
deep.
May actually fall. No, he doesn't because of the Lamb's Respite that had to come in for Mlxg. He will take him out in the end as 957's going to fall as well. Uzi, so huge. Gets himself that surge buff, so now actually has some lifesteal. As he heals up after killing those creeps.
And this is all fighting without xiaohu every single time. They're utilizing him as more of a cleanup, but Uzi's just putting in enough work for everybody.
Whoa, the flash hook. Pounce is going to be able to get Condi to safety. Flay back onto xiye there. The ignite is down. Uzi wants to find it. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, come on, Condi. I believe in you.
You guys got to chill.
Yeah. RNG trying to kind of ooze out everything they can. Oh, God.
That was spectacular.
Ooze out everything that they can.
Yep.
And they get damage onto the turret. They chip at it, but it's not going to be enough.
Nope, Zero going to make his way back towards the mid lane. This inner turret not going to fall down. So he just holds this minion wave for as long as possible. Wants to give Mystic all of that farm, who now has 3 items. Rapid Fire Cannon done, so even more range. glutton for range, this Mystic character.
Yeah. Working towards that rapid fire, of course, doesn't really need a static shiv, doesn't need a phantom dancer, whilst they are still good items.
Just wants to have more attack speed and crit, I guess.
Yeah, he needs the attack speed, needs the crit. Extra range is always handy. Get that headshot as well. You can time it with the rapid fire, incidentally.
Lots of damage.
You find yourself critting someone's head off. Uzi as well not having too much armor to speak of. He does have the Iceborne. You'll still hurt him. You'll still hurt Mlxg. It's just really Looper at the moment. So the longer range you can be, the further away you can be from Looper, the better off you are anyway. So it's still a good option. Well, Baron's not happy with you.
Yeah, Runic Ekko is actually going to proc that one after Mlxg tanked the spear, but he may actually have to go back to base. It's a good news story here for WE. Of course, Blood Rays are fantastic for taking down Baron. They probably would like a Mountain Drake.
You would think so.
But it's actually not even... There isn't going to be one this game. Of course, it's Infernal, Cloud, and the Ocean Drake that are in this game. So once again, a mountainless match. So Mlxg says, all right, now that I'm not in the pit, we should be okay.
The backside ward clear.
Yep, like it.
RNG as well setting up around that Baron primarily. That's the big condition that they are looking towards. It's Marta's turn to get destroyed by Baron. Maybe it's xiaohu's now.
He's an angry man.
Yeah, it is. It's xiaohu's now.
Takes
Who's next?
Peacemaker as well. My God.
20 gold a ticket. Baron can halve your health instantly.
Not Uzi. He's having none of it.
3 out of 3 analysts agree. That's a throwback for you.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a good one.
Still, patient play, and I don't blame them given that Uzi is the primary recipient of all of the gold.
Yeah. 12 out of 13 kill participation here as well from Uzi's Ezreal.
Yeah, MVP'd with 90% last time around. Wouldn't be surprised if they win to have the exact same thing this time. Uzi, star AD carry joining a star team. And went to MSI and has definitely shown up, if not the best in this whole team for this first week.
Yeah, it does seem to be xiaohu that we're asking questions of in this first week of play from RNG. He was sort of the star player for RNG at MSI. But so far, not necessarily found comfort in everything that he's done.
Yeah,
actually going for a Lichbane once again.
And I don't disagree with the Lichbane build. It's just that he's like, game 1 in particular, he was against magic damage carries. Or magic resistance, rather.
Yeah.
So this time around, you know, having a bit less magic resistance on the board, there's no Rek'Sai with the Spirit Visage. He'll be in a better position with the Lichbane to still chunk people out. I just hope that after he gets it, he still looks towards a Void Staff. He's got to kill 957, he's got to kill xiye, and they've got to lock it on 0. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. And you would imagine they'd be looking at armor as well for Uzi. So,
well, right now we do have xiye with his on his Hourglass. So can stasis himself up in these team fights. It's a big item for him. Also, Condi, the Ryze. 957, lots of slow power. Yeah, 30% CDR there as well. The Ekko, which is very, very good. And Mystic, we were talking about 3-item spikes. Now also has some lifesteal at the same time. Going for the red and yellow build. Like it a lot, like it a lot. Color coordination always very, very important.
Yeah, no, the game's completely stagnated.
Yeah.
Not a lot of gold separating the teams. I think we've found a trend in this series where Dragon is the be-all, end-all for team fights.
Well, Dragon is actually spawning right now as well, as Parallel Convergence is going to come down, but RNG actually moving away from the pit. xiaohu moving his way in. And Marta looking to try and catch him out. There it is. That hook somehow hit. No idea how that was even possible, as Condi being exhausted, half health already on the Nidalee as Lupo looking to find his way in. Mystic, some auto attacks there, but he's away from his team at this point. 957 slowed as Mlxg right over the wall. Mystic is his option as he's taking a lot of burst damage, but it doesn't matter. Lamb's Spike going to keep him alive. That is a big cooldown now. Down Uzi, 1 versus 3, gets himself back out again as Chaos Storm's doing a lot of work. And RNG, have they chunked them enough to grab this Dragon? Not entirely sure. Chrono Break going to be able to get 957 out, and xiaohu taking a lot of damage. Lupa has to grab himself the ace in the hole just to avoid his mid laner dying, as Mlxg looking to go back to base.
Yeah.
Dragon was started. Uzi wanted to get it, but they're just going to give it up.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to try and not even steal it, honestly. They just have to give that up. The fight was close, but nobody dies. The thing is, all of that health now missing from all of RNG, they would just get poked out. 957 was too healthy.
Yeah.
He was able to just be that frontline threat. And with the assassination options of xiye as well, level 16 on that Kassadin, you can't afford to overstay in a bad position because you will actively just be losing yourself the game like that. Giving over a dragon is perfectly fine, however. Nidalee getting there first.
Exactly.
Still a big one that RNG would have wanted. 2 Infernals, 16% AP and AD.
That being said, it's not the end of the world if they do lose it. Exactly right, Rusty. So just playing a safe game.
And this is that point now where the crunch time, so to speak, of Dragon and Baron comes into effect, where they put all of their emphasis around the map.
Well, at the moment, trying to get some vision around that Baron pit. xiye as well, picking himself up the blue buff. Important now with 3 items. Grab that extra 15% AP. Grump as well, giving him some extra money. Mlxg moving towards this Baron pit. So Bloodthirster done for the Kindred.
Yeah. Full offense Kindred build.
Yeah.
Had a lot of the kills as well, so in that respect it makes a lot of sense that he's doing a lot of damage. And xiaohu probably could have went Ryze instead of Lich Bane, given that he has none of the gold, none of the kills, just farm.
Bit of a tankier build may have actually benefited him as well, as these fights seem to be going for quite some time.
I'm still just confused. There must be personal preference for him.
Oh, Spear is going to help out taking down this Baron. You can see RNG, everyone's here.
It's getting chunked.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage. 957 looking to try and get over the top. Condi, this is your time to shine. Spear is going to land. He's looking for the steal. Lamb's Respite is going to stop him from being able to, as now everyone standing on top of it. Mlxg is going to take down 957, grabs himself the Baron. That's 3 kills already. Mata's going to fall. xiaohu launches himself on top of Mystic. He's going to die as the double kill comes in for Uzi. Still up, full health, and RNG, what a team fight.
RNG pull the trigger on the Baron and come up huge. The best thing about that entire situation was that Condi was baited into smiting by the Lamb's Respite.
Yeah.
Did not have it available and then was just stuck in the pit with nothing to speak of. And now RNG, with that Baron buff, with their key members alive in Looper and Uzi, with xiaohu to boot, they have a lot of damage they can do to structures. It looks like they want to at least get one of these turrets and perhaps the entire game.
Yeah, they got 2 auto attack enhancers here with the Iceborne Gauntlet and the Lich Bane. xiaohu does a lot of damage to these structures. The Nexus is just going to get torn apart. This is going to be game for RNG. Bit of a fumble in game number 1, but what a finish for the MSI team that did so well. And RNG, we expected them to be strong, but WE, they impressed me a heck of a lot at the same time.
Yeah.
Both of these teams, I mean, if they're the tops of the group at the end, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Nidalee, I'm going to say no surprises. WE rather, no surprises. They show up to the first week of the LPL.
Yeah.
A consistent roster in a consistent position. And they find themselves performing as if expected. And actually still have the Keep Your Dreams on their shirts. And still, even though they didn't win this series and very well deserved win by RNG, still a lot of credit to Nidalee.
Yeah, so taking a bow here, RNG. 2-1 victory. Not exactly the clean sweep that a lot of people would have been expecting, as RNG did look just so incredibly dominant as we were over in MSI. But this just bodes fantastically well for the LPL in general, because WE looked brilliant. That was fantastic out of this squad that have been consistent, but they're not necessarily star players in each of these positions. They never really were. I mean, Zero, you could probably say, is like one of these sort of old school phenomenal players from, you know, ages past, things like that. But otherwise, 957, rookie, xiye, crazy guy that sort of came in the middle of the previous split last year. And they've just come together really nicely.
Yeah, honestly they have. And it's team play that actually separates WE from the rest of the teams, I guess is the plain and simple of it, right? They work around their dragons, they set up well with their vision, they team fight well when it comes to it, and everything that WE set themselves up for is generally speaking successful.
Yeah.
I think this time around, they were only really bested because they were against a similar version of themselves, but with star players on that team.
Yeah.
It's Uzi going 9-1, something ridiculous by the end of the game as well, was probably the difference between him and Mystic is Uzi's just genuinely a star player.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw those highlights from the bottom side of the map, especially sort of those first 3 kills that happened in the bottom lane. Just out of control. The guy was sitting on like 8-1 and 4 for the majority of that game. Grabs a double kill at the end of it. So like, what, 10-1 and 4? Uzi just looks like he's slipped into this roster so incredibly effortlessly at the same time. And you could see that the synergy's already building between him and Mata. There were some fantastic lanterns being thrown out for him to pick up. It looks like these guys really meshing together well. And that would be terrifying for every other team in Group B.
It does feel like a near seamless transition for Uzi coming into RNG. I agree with you. And the fact that they're winning 2v2s, as you alluded towards, them actually doing well in the bottom lane and having synergy there, ultimately is just a scary thing to consider because, I mean, you're a new bottom lane. Perhaps the shot calling isn't always going to be there. Perhaps Uzi's got a bit of a personal flair and ambition where he wants to go, what he wants to do, how he wants to play the map perhaps. But all things considered, Mata's still definitely the shot caller for that team. I don't think Uzi joining the roster has actually influenced that in the slightest because the minimap indicated Mata did everything.
He most certainly
in the way of pings, in the way of moving, he was always 2 steps ahead of everybody else.
And I really like the fact that what they did with their like early advantages that they managed to pick up in the lane, even in the Karma game that Mata was playing, where he just left the lane. He just like, all right, well, Uzi, you're Sivir, looking ridiculous. I'm just going to peace, and I'm going to go like put wards everywhere, clear out vision, join Mlxg, start to invade, start to grab incremental advantages around the map. He did it once again when he was moving around the map in game number 3. That's what led them to victories. And I mean, the Alistar, unfortunately, being sort of his one loss now, it's like generally Mata says, like, if I get Alistar, I will win. But the range supports, the fact that you can put on so much more pressure with a lot of these guys with the early laning strength does seem to be working out a whole lot. And I mean, his Thresh is always a joy to watch. Like, Mata is just generally a great player, and I'm really glad that they have moved away from the Alistar, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. And whilst I think Alistar's still a great champion, still a great Mata champion, and has kind of tarnished the name, funnily enough, that
it's a bit
he's
sad.
lost with the one champion he said he would always win with. I do think, like, notably from this series as well, we can look at Bard and we can be like, Bard's a big deal. It's now been banned away. RNG making sure that Zero doesn't have it, even though Mata can play it. We've also got Karma, who seems to be winning every single game Karma is in.
Yeah.
It goes without saying, strong champion, does a lot of work, win or lose, is still a respectable support option now. And it's kind of like this middle point between damage and sustain, I think that supports are now going towards, where you need to be a threat, but you need to also be able to keep your AD carry alive when it comes down to it. And Karma does that, but for the whole team as well, because you can mantra your shield, which is what I believe you would max.
Yeah, well, exactly right. And you also get all that movement speed. We've been talking about movement speed so much, but the fact that you like take Windspeaker's Blessing, you mantra up that shield for everyone, give them a little bit of extra armor and magic resist at the same time, but it also acts as a peel technique, right?
Yeah.
You can just, everyone can reposition, you get so much extra movement speed. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And watching this Karma be played with the likes of Twitch, with the likes of Caitlyn, just means that it gives these really long-range carries so much more ability to kite, which is almost to the point where they're impossible to get to. Unfortunately, Zero didn't quite make it work in that game just because of how incredibly strong Uzi was. But we have seen it time and time again, and I have a feeling that Karma's going to be even more prevalent as we move forward.
Yeah, and I feel like that's where there's been a couple of actual changes looking at the drafting phase. And to me, there is a worrying concern initially that everyone will just play Maokai and Nautilus then. Simply because you play a long-range AD carry that's getting peeled for, you kind of have a single role then as a support that's actually make sure he stays alive. Maokai, in particular, from Looper and the Nautilus from 957, was just getting onto the AD carry or the target that they were looking for every single time without fail. But that last game indicated that it isn't necessary all of the time. You can still alter what you're looking to do as a team, perhaps change the draft up to change the style that you want to play the game out, whilst the focus is still on the Dragon.
Yeah, I actually feel like a lot of this came down to what the jungle was doing. Condi didn't necessarily have the best Nidalee game. He was still trying to sit in brushes and gank people and things like this. Like, I feel like this sort of tanky jungler meta that we've been experiencing over the last few games, while Kindred is banned, while Nidalee is banned, we're seeing like Condi have a much better time. So I have a feeling that WE probably need to adjust their draft phase to get rid of these sort of carry junglers, put themselves back into this sort of like tank jungle meta that we've sort of delved our way back into, and it works out quite well. But we are going to have a look at the MVP, and I wonder who it's going to be. Rusty? Surprise.
Not a clue.
Yeah.
Who could it ever possibly be besides Uzi?
Just
the guy
ridiculous.
is a beast, and we said it before, coming into RNG, joining the roster as a new AD carry for the team. Obviously not a new AD carry, but he's almost like he's back home.
Yeah, it feels like it. And like him and Mata just look so beautiful together. I alluded to that before. But, I mean, like this time around, I mean, he's not doing 40% of the damage like he was on the Sivir. But it's just this expert play and his ability to weave his way around a fight. Like, that could have, theoretically, just been a lost fight flat out for RNG.
Yeah, I mean, the way that he kites himself, the way he handles himself individually as an AD carry is remarkable. Usually when you see Uzi die, it's because he bites off more than he can chew or gets something like a crit that is unexpected.
Yeah.
But as far as mechanics is concerned, this guy is something else, to say the least. Uzi really did step up to the plate for his first game with RNG in the first week of the LPL.
And it also shows that Mlxg should never get Kindred, ever, because his Kindred looked absolutely stunning. The fact that like he has this way about him where he decides to build damage on basically everyone that he picks, like the Bloodthirster third item that came in for his Kindred.
Yeah.
But in that last team fight especially, I mean, we saw Mlxg was darting around that fight so expertly. The Lamb's Respite timed to a T to make sure that straight afterwards he managed to pick up the kill, then dashes forward, gets even more damage down, opens the floor for Uzi to pick up that easy triple kill. By easy triple kill, I mean, you know, difficult triple kill, but did
well
it beautifully.
Earned.
Yeah, exactly right. But it was all like a team effort in the end, and the Kindred, stunning from Mlxg.
So you know the funny thing about the Kindred and even the Nidalee that you mentioned beforehand is simply that they were banned every single game except
Yeah,
the
exactly.
third. It's like RNG were the ones actually banning the Kindred in game 1 and 2. Nidalee was actually being banned by World Elite in game 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then they come into the third game, it's like, throw everything out the window, guys.
Let's ban Sivir and Bard.
Let's play the champions that we were actively banning. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I feel like they were actually picking them to take it from the opposition then, but they can both still play the champions well enough that the end result was like no net gain, except that it worked out better for RNG as a team composition.
Yeah, and it also changes up how you're supposed to play these games as well, because you have a whole lot more damage coming out of the jungle. And I actually really like the fact that RNG were like, well, okay, let's ban Maokai first up. Not going to put Lupa back on like that particular super tank once again. We're going to grab the Echoes out. We're going to grab the Trundles out. We're going to have sort of this split push style and get a lot of extra damage in these fights out of our jungle position. And Mlxg, when he can get into a carry role, my God, the guy looks terrifying.
Yeah, he's such an interesting player, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Like I just don't feel like he's capable of playing tanks, and whilst I know he can, I've seen him do it. It just doesn't feel like it's Mlxg. He wants to be the Graves that has a Phantom Dancer. He wants to be the Elise that goes Mobility Boots as his first item. Like, he is an unusual player.
He's an unusual player as well, because he was one of the only players to play Ekko jungle last split in the LPL as well, and decided to go Cinderhulk and built Eye of the Watcher. So you just never really know what's going to happen when it comes to Mlxg, but he's stuck in his ways with his playstyle on each champion as well. That is definitely a fact.
I mean, like, yes, he's stuck in his ways, but that's also what makes him good for RNG, right? Because Marta is essentially the voice that guides him. It's like, you're going here right now, Mlxg. Like, literally pings it 6 times and says, go to this spot. And he'll have to. Like, Mlxg is what I always lovingly refer to him as the weapon for Marta. Marta is the one wielding Mlxg around.
He's got a sword and shield, and their names are Mlxg and Lupa.
Yeah. Basically right, and that's Marta in a nutshell, but it's also Mlxg's strengths, is that he is the sword, and like he does an abundance of damage. He's a strong mechanical player. He's stepped up at MSI even, and now coming back into the LPL for the first week, he's still performed well, even in that third game.
Yeah, and this is exactly right as well. What I love about it is the fact that Lupa looked completely lost without Marta when he was playing in the LPL prior, and there was same can be said for Mlxg, who has always had phenomenal mechanics, but often made decisions that you'd just be like, in which world would that ever work? But not happening at all now, just because, you know, Marta keeps everyone on a leash and makes sure that he's just using them for their phenomenal mechanical play. And this is exactly where they can perform, because they have this sort of in-game coach of Marta making sure that every decision they make is good.
You could almost akin it to High from Cloud9 in that way. I would say that
Elimination's notebook.
Marta makes a team out of players.
Yeah.
Whereas the players themselves are always going to be good. You could get 4 challenger players, arguably, and put them in a team with Marta, and sooner or later, they will become a great team simply because they've got the leadership, the guidance, the shot calling, everything that you could want and more from the support role. And that's also what made LGD good when PYL was really in form.
Yeah, exactly.
Because his shot calling was impeccable. But now that's gone missing. You can see how LGD starts to suffer, even with stars like Marin on the team.
Yeah.
They still just can't actually get it together.
Yeah, doesn't quite work out as well. And I'm glad that we're talking about sort of support power when we have WE on the other side of the rift. It was a 2-1 victory, guys. I mean, this is RNG falling in game number 1, possibly with some jitters, possibly with a lot of pressure on them now that Uzi is on the roster to perform, and meant that they sort of faltered just a little bit. But Zero played every game out phenomenally. The Bard, impeccable performance. The Braum in game number 2 was also phenomenal, and it took sort of some late game team fights with some incredibly well played like Sivir and sort of lots of team comp things to come into fruition. But Zero also has been phenomenal. I'm really excited to see what Road is going to be capable of in our next series as well. And it looks like we are going to have a lot of really powerful support players really stepping up to the fore. And when you've got a powerful support player, it does allow you to just have like really mechanically strong players to back them up, but not necessarily good with their decision making or anything like that, because you have sort of this like conductor to tell them exactly what to do.
I almost thought of it like Pawn from EDG.
Yeah.
You know, like the sporadic player in the middle lane can be kind of brought back in by the support shot calling capabilities.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, the debut of Ime taking on OMG.